I know, they always slide.
Since Holland is on his way, I don't think we need to see anybody tonight, correct? All right, approval of the March 7th minutes.
We may have discussed this already, but are you gonna approve minutes each meeting, or sometimes we only approve them during a regular meeting, not during a budget
All
meeting?
right, yeah, that's,
Just point of discussion, I mean,
yeah, that, I guess I was, maybe that
was
makes,
it on the agenda?
it's on the agenda
Well, I
tonight.
mean, we're gonna vote on it tonight, it's just for the future.
Just
We
throw-
sometimes held them all when
We
we did
just
them in a
wait.
business meeting.
Yeah, that probably makes more sense because there are a little more time to read them, so. But for tonight, it is on the
Yeah,
agenda.
it's on the agenda, we better vote on it.
To approve.
Unless you want to table consideration.
Do that too?
I move we table consideration.
A second.
For the next regular meeting.
Couldn't read it, so
Any other discussion?
I feel bad.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so those will be tabled to the regular meeting. So, I guess, starting discussion on the budget, I probably want to start with a few items that maybe we got answers to, the budget that we passed by, if we have an answer to resolve or more information, to look at those, and then we can move on to the other budgets we haven't looked at. So, So the first one would be, I guess I'm going in order. Finance Department, 11. I think that's the first one. Skipped. So I think the question on that was just what the number was for the finance director line. And I think the email, everyone, I see was on the email, the estimate of that, with the hours.
Oh, excuse me, didn't we just set up the Saturday meeting?
We're deciding between next Saturday or the next
Oh,
two
that's a
Saturdays.
shame, Harlan, you missed it, that's awful.
You considered your,
So once we know you're gonna be late, modify the agenda.
Right.
That's what happens when you're late. You'll miss a vote on an important item.
and you're chairman for next year.
Right.
I'm sorry.
So I think Barbara calculated the number to be 59,000.
59 even?
Yeah.
So what's the bottom line for the line?
124, 314, 314.
I move approval as calculated. The correct word would be.
I'll second that.
I just ask what the items are again? Is it still the 71,750?
No,
And that's the 59?
That's the
Oh,
59.
I'm sorry. Thank you. And still 64,240.
Right.
Okay, sorry, thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so talk about that we're still waiting for an assistant member, so we're not ready to do that one yet.
I don't know. The salary that's in there was the union contract, full-time salary.
Yeah, whether we switched to part-time, well, I can give you a good estimate. You want it?
Sure.
Go to the next thing and I'll work in in 2 seconds.
We're looking at that 4th hour.
Right, I think the only, I
Full 40.
don't know if anyone has any questions or comments on the rest of that, I think it was the assistant number we had asked a question about.
Put 22,000 in, that's a good number.
2,000? So the question I always have is, do we change the selectmen's request?
Well, we didn't know it at the time,
Right.
so we leave it alone. That's, I mean, we know that when we vote, we know that we might have an answer in a day or two, but we don't know it then, so.
And that's because
Go
it's changing to part-time?
20 hours a week.
Which makes our new bottom line
78,927.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget, 78,927.
Well, I'll second.
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alright. Okay, we skipped over town council last time. So that's the next one up.
If I remember correctly, the Labor Council is because they're starting the process for the union contract in the next year, is that right?
So are we doing P and Z still then?
Yeah, I would say,
No.
there's billing that's not in there, I'm pretty sure.
You were gonna take the bond council out, Joe.
Right,
Yeah.
if we choose to bond, we'll cover it
Right.
through the project.
Well, weren't you gonna put it in the legal counsel? Were you just gonna bring it up? Because you said, who said they didn't think it was enough on
I
the,
was one of them.
yeah, I thought there was discussion, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I was waiting for someone to ask
Okay,
that
sorry.
question, if that's the case, but at least the bond council line, we're gonna zero out, I don't know if we're gonna.
Yeah, having spent 22,000 already this year. Yeah, I'm concerned that 25 might be too low.
FOI
Well, for
request.
this year,
I understand.
looking at the other years,
Do we have a year-to-date where we're, I don't have a year-to-date budget. Expenditure.
End of February.
Oh, no, this is year-to-date, oh, no, 229. Is that
A
accurate?
month ago.
Yeah, it's not accurate. I don't think the,
It's not gonna be
I don't think the February bill's in there. I don't have that
I
right.
don't.
Our last report was at 23,203. And that was March 11th.
I want to say, I just got a bill and I just gave it to Georgia like Friday. It's well over 20, I can tell you it's over 25,000.
Will that continue next year, that same kind of overage? It sounds like.
I know,
it's gonna-
sounds like it's a waste of money, but keeps continuing, so I don't know.
Well, having my old sheets here tonight as I'm trying to clean up my book, the ones we see in front of us, the previous years were 15 or 16,000. But if you go back, 34,000, okay, 100,000, 49,000, 41,000,
Was that some?
101,000.
I can, well, I mean, there's certain developments that are happening, like new things, right? So I'm having review of contracts and things like that, although I don't think there's too much out of the ordinary that
The
was
town
done
charter?
before. The town charter's gonna add to that. I can give you a breakdown of that next week and let you know, but I can tell you that,
I'm concerned that 25 is too low.
yeah.
Yeah, the town charter overview there, that's gonna add to it also.
Town charter, although that didn't take him, I mean, he looked at those documents to get them going, and they were pretty, that didn't take long, that wasn't more than,
Are there big revisions that are being proposed?
yeah, yeah, but then, they have 14 months to do that, so I don't know if that's necessarily gonna affect the 16-17 budget, it might, it could.
They started already?
They,
Yeah.
yep,
14 months will be this budget.
yeah, yes. It'll just be this budget, yeah. I mean, the bond council's gonna come out if we do any other road projects, right?
Probably out of the whole financing,
Yeah.
you can put the legal right in
Yeah.
there,
Right.
yeah.
Are we,
Make sure it's part of the
You know,
project.
I can break down for, I can go back, maybe we can go back and I can have Georgia break down like what has been traditionally, maybe contract and, you know, things out of the ordinary.
Yeah, we can look at it, we'll
Yeah.
definitely.
I think some of those real big years we had before were subdivision issues and things like
Yeah.
that.
But that would have come out of,
land use?
yeah, P and Z council unless it
If
wasn't
we had
broken
it
out that far.
separated. Well, yeah, some of those years, those expenditures are way up too, 26,000.
Skip town council?
I think, I'd rather get a, I don't think 25 is gonna be enough, especially with the activity lately, so, we work on those numbers and then at the next meeting, we'll have a good, Georgia work on those. And I'll get a good look at projects and things that are coming up and try that estimate.
So to make things complicated, what, ZBA?
ZBA, the ZBA has to be re-looked at. We just found out that the dues, these are dues and meetings, but this is specifically dues.
What's the number?
When- Oh, I'm sorry,
That's what.
right, 075. went up $20. So from 90, we have to put 110 and reapprove.
That's over a 20% increase.
I know,
More than that.
I know, things are really getting
It's
bad.
like 22 or 3%, holy cow.
Yeah,
I'll move that we change it to 110, you said?
yes.
110.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion on that one? All in favor?
It's $100, we should talk about it.
Yes? Okay, those approved. All right, did we get it all in favor on that one, or not?
Oh, yes, all
Yeah.
right, yes.
All right,
Yeah.
so make sure our vote's correct.
Marge, did you want to abstain again, or do you want to vote for?
For which one? Oh, ZBA? Is that what we just did? Please know that I, yes, of course I do, I didn't even pay attention. $10 change or whatever it was. But yes, yes.
It's 23% marks.
ZBA didn't know anything about. Maybe it's general.
Central Services is next, did we skip that one, or that's
Well,
just where we
there
ended?
was a question about the department request for IT maintenance
Right.
and support.
Right, and that should be the larger number.
66,
It was 66 and change, yeah.
551.
66,551.
Mhm.
Oh, that's okay, because the back of that.
And that makes the bottom line.
Makes the bottom line.
I don't,
I'm sorry.
This was,
Why-
IT maintenance
from the
Why is there
backup.
no alarm system, did that move or something?
Yes, it moved from, we put it all under here.
So we're gonna say for-
119, 751.
well, I'll move approval with that.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Are we waiting for something on insurance? Just, we're waiting for signature, we're gonna
Right,
sit on
right,
that one for a
right.
while.
We don't have that yet.
Okay.
When do the people have numbers? So are they still looking at losses and
We can, let's see,
claims history?
usually they go back 13 months in April.
Okay.
I mean, what I've experienced in the past, so they roll back in historic data from, but usually it's April. But I'll contact the broker and
And I've forgotten, why was the drop in all of the insurances?
So we're gonna move some stuff.
So different, okay.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to that one in April. Just got two things about 112. Health. First is location. Probably should be put in with all the other health instead of being stuck in the middle of general government. So
Oh,
if I-
so you want to propose to move to the 400 category?
Right, that's where it belongs, we don't under,
Yep.
that's where all the rest of it is, I'm not sure why. Well, we could still approve it here, but I think presentation makes
you
more
want-
sense.
Do you want a separate motion to move to the 400 section?
I think that's administrative, I don't think we need a motion for that.
But we don't, so are we going with Brad, is that what you're proposing, is it?
I've looked at-
That needs to go?
Yep, there's a town meeting that needs to go, so Board of Selectmen meeting and then town meeting. But, I mean, when we looked at hiring on our own, which we can do, the problem is, you know, that if somebody retires or leaves and all that other good stuff. And we could fix this, we could solve it for the same amount of money. But, I mean, $80,000, I mean, even if we had stayed, our dues would have went up, so it would have been a little bit more.
So this number is based on Brad,
Yep,
and that was the 9 or whatever, for capital.
$11.60.
I think we're 960, but.
No, it was, yeah.
That was 9 something.
Yeah, that was 9
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
The increment of the
That's the
3
reverse
tier.
math.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a 3-tier, it was 9 something.
Yeah, and we were this past year, I think, at 960, sorry. 963.
Divided by 80.
So CRAD has not voted on their budget yet.
No, but he said when he was here, and I have it in writing,
Yes.
our number would not change.
For the first
We
year.
have an agreement on the number.
Okay. That the board of directors have said yes to?
Yes.
Or that they're not?
No,
said
Board of
yes?
Directors have agreed to.
When they finally approve that, can you make sure that we get it? Their
Their
budget?
budget.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what you were talking
Yeah,
about.
no, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely.
Because I think I said the other day,
Yeah.
Chatham did such a great job of providing detail on their budget.
Yeah, no, their budget's very, I mean, it's not, again, it's changed a little bit, but it's pretty detailed. I
Mhm.
mean,
I think I have to send that audit out, I could send our audit out, which has the same kind of level of detail
Yeah,
for last year, but we
I can
didn't.
send that. Yeah, I thought you were gonna,
I said I would.
yeah, you did say. That's why I didn't write it on my list, but I'd be happy to.
So,
So we need a motion to vote on the 80,165.
so let's say we vote on that, and then for some unknown reason, the townspeople say no. They don't want to
Yeah.
join the CRAD. You're gonna have that meeting, I'm assuming, before
Maybe by
the
the end of
budget?
April.
Okay. Just any time.
Before it goes, before we're set.
I think the minutes just need to reflect that we haven't even actually joined CRAD, but that these numbers are based on their health district 100%. Just in case we have somebody else.
This is a series of one-year contracts that we're entering into?
It's the same thing as we're into now, so if we wanted to leave that district, we'd have to notify them by December 31st.
Okay.
And I mean, there's steps I have to go by, the Department of Health has given me, I've been in conversation with them.
But I mean, the agreement that you enter into is for 1 year?
Yeah,
Okay.
So I guess I'll make the motion to accept the 80,165 based on the per capita numbers for the CRAD.
Yep, I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
and technically though, if we would be with them for the next 18 months, because,
Mhm.
you know, I wouldn't just say, unless, I can't imagine things would go.
No, neither, I didn't know, I just
Yeah.
was wondering if you were
Yeah.
entering into a 3-year agreement or a 1-year.
Everything in the government world is subject to non-appropriation, so
Yeah.
even a
Kinda
three-year
get that out.
contract doesn't really mean a
No,
three-year contract.
that's true.
Yeah, that's a good question.
We would be done to fire. Joe, do you want to jump down to ones that we met with Saturday to talk about those when they're fresh in our mind? You want to continue going?
Yeah, we can,
Because you're kind of caught up.
I caught up with on the ones that we kind of had started, right?
Did we wait on senior services? Do you have that as being done?
I have that blank.
Yeah,
We
okay,
can,
good. Okay, good.
Yeah, we can go back to that one, because we left that one for that one question, right?
Yep. Yeah, we weren't sure the
We went all the way down.
With the salary.
manager wages were calculated correctly.
All right, so now my understanding is it's 2.5% raise, but we added 6 hours, which then makes it 3.2 because the person is part-time versus, I didn't redo the math, but that, so I was just concerned about the percentage, but.
So the 15,685 is correct?
Yeah, because it was 53 weeks technically, which added 3 hours.
I like the same thing.
Oh,
I think that was the only question we had on that one, wasn't it?
right, you just did, it was coming out to 3.2, so it didn't make sense.
So the 40,679 is an accurate bottom line? Okay, I'll make a motion, we approve this one at 40,679.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Which one want to do first, ambulance?
Let's do something
Why don't we
easy.
do-
That's good.
Why don't we do Phil first? Maybe easier.
Uh,
We can feel more of a sense of accomplishment.
All right, there might be a few other questions on that, but we can start that.
Yeah, refresh my,
We'll have to put snow,
what?
put some of the overtime in snow removal
Oh, that's
versus
right,
general labor.
that's right.
And originally, when he sent in, he had put it all in here, but he did put the 100,000 in.
Okay,
So when we split it, I put 20 and 80,
okay,
okay?
yeah,
But that was what he requested.
what was 100,
Right.
On the total overtime?
which is up 20,000 from
Correct.
prior year.
Mhm.
Do you say why?
Do you think we need that?
Where did the other 80 go, Barbara?
Snow
Snow
removal.
removal.
Three
It's
twenty-five.
right at the top,
That's
it's
right.
around
That's
325.
what my notes is.
Got it. Yep, got it.
So really it's up $20,000.
Yeah.
Down this year, and then who knows what next year.
Right, so the.
And if some of that is overset by, like emergency money, that doesn't necessarily reflect in that line item though, right? This so if we can apply for any federal emergency.
Right, but you have to pay it out first
Yeah, you have to
anyway,
pay it out
so,
first.
right, like a FEMA.
Yeah, but we wouldn't see any of that. I mean, I don't think we had any storms, but like previous years, I know we did, but that doesn't reflect the offset.
Well,
So,
that's
No, we
a
come in as-
separate
yeah, it comes
Yeah.
in as a separate.
accounting. Now they changed the rules, you used to be on the hook for 25%, but depending on the storm, you
Yeah.
can charge 3 times, so it's not clear. It used to be clear that even with a storm, we're gonna pay
Well, because that's
25%.
what, sometimes that line item goes over, but
No, but
we've
I
got
thought,
the revenue on the other side. Or if we apply
no,
for
maybe I'm
money.
wrong, it's been a while since, but I thought the expense was done separately as well.
Well, because we don't always know that we're gonna get
It
it.
may be recorded separately,
Yeah,
but the bottom line is that we end up paying it out and then do the
Oh,
application.
yeah, no,
And you can't depend on the revenue because FEMA takes, it could be 6
Year.
months or 8 months after the event.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
just the way it is.
well, I'm just trying to,
Yeah.
it's hard sometimes when you look at this number to say, yeah, we went over $40,000, but
yeah, but we got
actually it was reimbursed.
33, whatever.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Well, that's not there. The incremental, that 25% may be in the 127, but anything we got reimbursed was recorded somewhere.
The,
Yes.
the expense and the
Yeah.
reimbursement.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, but the 25% would be still sitting
Right,
in-
yeah.
against the budget, because we're going to get reimbursed for that, so. Well,
I guess maybe I understand this until we check. So do we feel that the general overtime goes over 20,000, or is the majority of it all generally for storms?
He said that the majority of his overtime is snow removal,
Yeah,
but he does need some overtime for
proceed.
various, right, general work. Whether it's that number or not, I don't know.
He's estimating that that would be,
Right.
he's great.
Would we want to leave any of it to contingency?
Well, if you did-
Not add the extra 20? I don't know if in the past you felt,
Well, if anything, I'd move it out of the snow removal.
Yeah, I would
I
leave
mean,
it
you know,
in
when you
general.
get
just to
20
keep
in
it,
general,
to
then-
keep it at a flat
Yeah.
100,000.
Yeah,
And
But I
reduce
don't know
the
how
80.
you all have handled that in the past. It's tempting, but
Well, what's the reason for the increase? Just guessing that it's gonna snow more next year?
pretty much,
Oh,
which is
more than
almost a
this year,
contingency.
maybe.
But we're not gonna hit that overtime this year either.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So it's always, so you wanna increase the budget just in case, or?
That's
I
right.
don't usually continue to better.
That number varies wildly
I
every
know.
year.
Right, every year is
every year.
just,
It's
It's been 100,000, it's been 40,000.
been 13, 14 was 67. Or no,
But I mean, historically, have you never felt that you wanted to leave it to a contingency item and fund it lower in the,
I think we sort of have, I mean, we've picked a number.
yeah.
We didn't know if that was
Mm.
too high or too low, we picked a number.
I just think adding 20,000 from overtime line
And there's no way,
In budget.
there's no way you can, Phil hasn't really kept track of it in this fashion in the past. so
that's why we
can't-
separated it, so we'll have a better idea of exactly how these things
Okay.
get hammered
is.
out.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it just looks.
Right,
funny
it's
with that.
all together.
Yeah, but, okay, it is what it is, okay.
I mean,
I'm willing to, I'll make a motion to okay the 611,000 and then,
Generally.
and then deal with the snow
Yeah,
momentarily.
I can second
any discussion? All in favor?
But
Right.
Opposed?
I'll just bring up materials again.
that. Yeah, I'm just gonna,
Again, only because it's tempting to at least keep it flat. But I obviously don't know what I'm talking about. I just think it's a number that's fuzzy.
During a discussion Saturday, separating the road materials out made a whole lot of sense. I'm not sure where you'd put that number.
But if you knew exactly how much of this Phil spent on blacktop versus sweeper brushes,
Well, no,
Would
because
you make a
he
change?
shouldn't be, I thought he said he was charging,
Well,
Well, now you could, you know, if you want to say going in that it's going to be kept at 4:30, and again, it becomes a contingency if he needs more brushes or whatever.
Might not need as many new blades this year.
just
I think that would come under,
splitting it up doesn't make it smaller.
yeah.
It could.
it could.
Sure.
No, I know what you're saying. You're not really troubled by, you're troubled, not,
Well, I mean, I think it's fine to,
There's one
I think it's
bottom line,
fine to
as long
split
as-
it up, but
yeah, no, I know.
So why don't you just do a road project? I mean, and then do miscellaneous materials?
Or general material
Or
and
general
road,
materials and
you said what did you
Infrastructure.
say before?
Or road maintenance,
Road maintenance.
and then
Right.
if we do anything that's more along the reconstruction, I think there's some in that activity, really should have maintenance, and then more from the accounting perspective, anything that's an improvement that we would need to capitalize, it makes sense to separate those. I don't know, going forward, big picture, if we're looking at bonding, then not all our improvements are gonna be over here and not here, but right now it's, until we get there, it's both. So I think we should at least split out maintenance, which is just whatever, just
yeah,
maintenance, it doesn't add
and I don't have
anything.
any problem
Maintenance.
splitting it
No,
up.
you're not
Just-
worried about the words.
I'm not-
You're worried about the number.
Yeah,
I know.
I don't have any problem with splitting it
I
out,
know.
I'm just, and Phil's rationale, as I recall, for the increase was he wants to continue to do even more road repair, which is something that the natives have
Haddam?
said is an issue. Yeah, they support it.
Get to roads, we put more money in the road fund, just FYI, I don't know if you looked at it or not. And even at that, we're probably gonna bond for things, so just keep that in mind,
Of course, yeah.
to get to that goal.
Right.
But the materials here is just more routine things, it's not as materials for a construction
It
project.
is, it's
Some of
mixed,
them
which is
does-
why I wanna break it out. Because looking at the detail, there's signs in there, there's trees in there that I don't think really should be in trees. There's road materials, gravel, asphalt, there's
But if,
fixing plow blades in there instead of in the plow, I mean, it's all over the place.
if they were gonna do a bunch of pothole repairs and all, I'm assuming that comes out of here.
The materials.
But what I'm asking is if they're gonna pave a half a mile on McTire Road, and we've got $500,000 we pull out of the road fund for that, would the McTire materials come out of this line or out of the 500,000?
500,000.
Okay, so this is materials for routine maintenance and repairs, it's not for a real improvement. That's what I thought.
That's, I'm not sure that's the case, but I think that's what we want it to be.
Right.
Yes.
Just because looking again at the details, it says road improvement, which is different than road maintenance.
Mhm.
So I think we want to make this maintenance and look at roads improvements
Separately.
a different
Yeah,
way, so
yeah.
that we understand what's operating and what's, again, unfortunately, the new way to do roads is to bond them because everybody's so far behind.
Mhm.
So the other thing that related to this that I think makes sense because it's operating and it doesn't change anything is to move the town aid road grant into general fund. So that's at 244. Because really that's being used for maintenance also. So we're not capturing that because it's sitting over here. So I would move that money in here at 244 and increase the materials or the road expenditures by the same number. So we're still spending the same amount of money, but now we're capturing all what road maintenance is instead of having it in two places. And I think it just allows us to manage it better. And the road fund will turn into road reconstruction fund.
What's a 244?
That's the town aid road grant that we put over into the road fund.
244,000.
1,000,
Okay.
yes. I think it makes more sense to, then we know what road maintenance is really is, what we're spending on it. And that's more the norm now, is that grant is recorded in general fund, and because we need roads, I don't think we should cut the expenditures, but just add it to whatever lines we're gonna create as far as road maintenance, or put it all in road maintenance, because that's mostly what it is for. You can use it for sand and salt also, but, we already have those lines.
I think the only reason I brought it up is just to
So we could,
reduce by 30,000. We
so we
haven't
could cut
reduced
this
much.
by 30
Well, just to keep
and
it,
talk about roads when we get to roads.
yeah, it was just
I
a
mean,
way to
because
save
Phil's
30,000.
rationale for the increase, as I recall, was more road work.
Yeah.
Right, if we're gonna address that a different way, then we can leave this at 30. I mean, what it was last year.
Yep.
And then, except for adding the town aid road also into that.
So leave it at,
So I'll make a motion on that we change it to 430, which makes the total 570, 560, higher level math, 575,
575.
thank you. Lord. 575. And that we talk about it, road repairs when we get to roads.
Well,
Road construction.
Road construction.
Because this
Road
is road
construction.
maintenance.
Road
So-
maintenance.
Thank
so we
you.
still wanna split that out, but we
Yes.
can approve the number and then split it
And
out.
split out later.
But then the town aid road piece, we'd wanna add to that, the 244, so if we're gonna approve the total,
so.
Where does
one-
that show in
Yeah.
here now?
It doesn't.
Joe?
It
It doesn't.
which is why
It
it
goes in the road fund.
goes into the road fund directly.
So what goes slow, what are you suggesting we do?
The 244 is going into the road fund.
Yeah.
It's town aid road, it's just a standard road grant, it can be used for anything road related, signs, paving, plowing, overtime, anything. So right now, we've used it to supplement the roads over in that.
We've used it to supplement road construction.
Well, again, it is part of the problem, I don't think it's consistent, I think some of what's going on in the road fund is maintenance, so this is an attempt to clean that up, because we're gonna want that road fund to be road construction, period.
So you'd show it as a revenue
Yeah,
item?
so there's no impact on the tax rate, it's just that this budget's gonna go up, and revenue's gonna go up. But now we'll be able to track really what road maintenance is.
That's okay from a bookkeeping perspective, that makes a whole lot of sense, but when you do the presentation to the town, it's gonna look like their
Up.
budget went up 244,000, we need to make it very clear that that didn't happen.
Right, it will show the revenue, but it's a better.
Well, we
time.
always did show the revenue, but the bottom line of the budget's gonna be $250,000 higher now.
Right, but they're all still.
And we all understand it doesn't affect their taxes one bit, but John Q. Public is gonna look at the bottom line and say,
Pull the bottom line.
Well, I think we're only gonna look at what the tax increase is. I don't know if we're really
Right.
looking at the numbers, but the tax increase is what we're gonna talk about. And that's wherever we end up, but that's gonna be the key number. This is not gonna impact that. It certainly can be included in the presentation, but it gives us a better accountability for what we're spending on. And since right now, everybody wants to spend money on roads, if you're gonna make a change. We're not changing what we spend really, it's just where we spend it.
I understand that, I understand that.
But
I think that would be on my list to make that clear, that that's a revenue and
Okay.
an expense, and not something that's additional.
And that, we know that that's the number we're getting.
but
You don't know that until the legislative session is done now, do you?
There's the famous
But
answer.
I continue to be confused. You wanna add the 244 into general maintenance? I mean, into this 305?
To materials right now, then to be broken out into road maintenance, it's really road maintenance. That's what that is being used for. Again, it could be used.
Well, we don't know what it's being used for, I guess, is the, without going through the item by item, it is a combination of stuff.
It could be, but whatever line it's in, it's the same, we still have the same amount of money to spend to do road-related things.
I think
So you want to show a 244 revenue line, and then of this 430, do you want to break that out into 244, a line of 244 expenses and the balance as another expense?
Well, that's not the perfect way to do it, that might make it easier to communicate, but there's more in materials that's gonna be maintenance. So 244 really wouldn't be the correct number,
Okay, so they're not the same.
not exactly the same thing.
So what is this gonna look like?
So if we add in on the
All right, let me see.
575, that's
Stated connection.
242, I think.
244,
It's 244 and change, let's see if I can find the number quick here. Wow, bonus, 246,301, we got a few extra bucks. It was 244 last year. 246,301. Again, I didn't check the cuts he did the other day, but I'd be surprised if he cut Town of the Road, maybe something else. We can just add a schedule to the budget presentation to show that sometimes people show stuff in that, but to make it clearer, it could be shown that this is what it was, and this is the difference.
So you take the 575,000 bottom line and add it into this 305 general maintenance, you'd add 246,000 to it?
Right.
So we'd end up at 800 some odd thousand?
821,301.
Oh, I see, okay. So it keeps us at the same 575, but we've got money in and then money out.
Net impact on the budget or the tax
Yeah,
rate
okay.
is zero, but
Okay.
at least now we're gonna have the accountability
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
for how that,
sort of. I mean, because we've forgotten about the road fund sitting off on the side, and I would venture to say that then if we bump this materials line, and I know you wanna change it, but that goes up to 675, and if we bump it up to that, a big chunk of that is gonna be really end up being used for road construction, not for
or maintenance.
blacktop and sweeper brushes.
why?
So
No, so road fund would be for a big project, reconstruction.
Which we
But-
don't want in this
but-
department, we
No.
don't want that on
No, the
305.
244, the
Yeah,
town
but
road aid
Phil's-
is not for
It's an
construction.
operating.
right, but I'm
expense.
saying
Just an operating
we got $600,000 on this materials line, and Phil can't buy that many sweepers.
Well-
So he's gonna wanna use a chunk of it for road construction, because that's what he's been doing with a chunk of it now.
But that's just general.
Right, am I?
Not that they're all in
Different
It's-
patching.
patch,
Or are we
patchwork,
saying we really don't know
catch
exactly
basin
what he's
falls
been
in,
using for?
replacing it, some drainage goes, he's fixing that. It's not part of an actual designated project, such as, we are doing Park Road, we are doing the tide.
well, that's why I was wondering if you wanted to give the 246 a separate title,
Yeah.
separate name of some kind. I don't know what it would be, but,
What I might suggest is we can go look at that road line in the road fund, then pull this line, take a look at it, and come up with what is maintenance and what is bituminous. I don't know if he does catch basins, he might do catch basins out of
Yeah,
here,
that's
or
what
he
he
might have
said.
done it
He said
out of the road
gravel.
fund. That's
Blacktop,
maintenance.
gravel, and.
That's not reconstruction, so we can take a look at that and almost come up with a percentage.
Right, if we think we're gonna spend less on maintenance, but And again, some of that, we call it maintenance, again, there's tree work's coming out of that, and somehow relates to the road. So it's not that clean. Could be sand or salt could be charged over there. I don't remember the details off the top of my head, but some basic overlay is operating. I mean, technically, from an
Yeah.
accounting standpoint,
I
overlay is
did-
different
yeah.
than reconstruction
I
conceptually.
feel like this, at least if we only show it as bumping up the materials line, adds to the confusion
Well,
at this point in time, rather
Which is what
than-
we were asking him about, how
rather than-
generic that word is. It can be
Well,
just
we're
about
We're
anything.
gonna break out materials,
Sure.
right now we're just pulling a number, but we're gonna come up with some estimates for road maintenance, road reconstruction, or,
Okay, I don't have, if we're gonna change it to 430, I don't have any strong preference whether we put the 246 in here or elsewhere. But, so I'm willing to change my motion to add the 246 in, and I'll let somebody else do the math and come up with what that is. But then we need to get it subdivided and clarified before we take the budget to the.
right.
Presentation.
And we'll do some analysis
So that
between
makes the
that.
line 676.
Where is the 246 on a pink sheet right now?
It's
It's not.
It's not part of the budget.
It's money we spent, and it doesn't,
It goes directly into Fund
Okay.
12.
So again, it's
it's,
going to look like the budget
Yeah,
automatically.
yeah.
It is,
Yeah, it
it
does.
is.
Yeah.
because it doesn't show up on a revenue item.
Right, we'll
Right.
highlight
Yeah.
both the pieces, this 244 is now in whatever line it ends up being called. So there is a little bit of education, but this is, I think, a better way to go for the accountability as far as what we're spending on road maintenance and what we think we need, and then what we'll talk about with the
We added in
But-
intergovernmental,
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say,
town aid road.
yeah, town aid roads,
What are we spending that 246 on today? What kind of?
Various items, that's the problem. There's, if you look at the detail, there's some bituminous that is not related to a project. Because we split out the project, if you remember, there's Dish Mill Bridge, and what was the other project? I'm sorry, I had it, McTighe.
yep,
Those are separate lines. So then you have this
road fund.
road tar fund line. And strangely enough, some odd things get in there that are not related to those particular projects that you had set up.
So if we put it here, I thought that's what you were gonna tell me, if we put it here, are we then only able to use it for maintenance and not for a new construction project? It would seem the way that the bookkeeping is now, you can use it for either. You could use it for maintenance or an infrastructure project.
You could do the same here.
no matter where it is. I'm suggesting
That kind of defeats the purpose of what we're trying to do tonight, separate maintenance from new construction.
But the new construction would be out of the road fund.
Right, right.
But some of that gets spent on new construction today.
Not a lot of it. Again, I'll do an analysis and take a look at it, but we found that there are things in there that he was always told to use the road fund money first for whatever. It has to be defined, and I think by separating it, what you're doing is you're saying, okay, now you have to start defining what you're using it for, and therefore we can keep better track of it. Because on the road fund is really for reconstruction, for large capital projects, and that's where the bonding would come in. If we can do bans and bonds
That's
to
something
do
for
these
your-
large
adding to
projects.
your
That's,
assets,
that's
too.
what that fund should be designated for. Not miscellaneous patching and, you know, culverts and,
There was a big
Gravel
storm
and things of
half
that
the road
nature.
got washed away.
But the state doesn't say we have to use this money for maintenance, this money just has to be used for
It's
roads.
just our
it has to be
percentage.
used for roads, but they're specific in regard to what you can use that public money for.
And it can be used for overtime,
Mhm.
conceptually, related to snow plowing, it can be used for signs, as long as it's related to road. There are a few towns that I work with that actually charge payroll to Town Aid Road, which to me is kind of crazy, because you really want it for the capital stuff. but, or the maintenance and the road thing, and not use it for overtime, but in the long term, this is gonna give us better information. And the road fund's it's a cap project fund, and that should have very specific authorization, and this piece is kind of clouding as far as there's maintenance happening and without really an authorization.
So within some of the capital projects right now, some money's being taken out of this materials line, and some money's being taken out of town aid road fund. You said it's not the major thing that's taken out. But if a little bit's taken out of either of those for a capital item, could we reduce the materials line? If some of that had been being thrown at infrastructure capital improvements, not maintenance.
You may reduce that and.
Because what we're doing effectively tonight is we're making 432,46,5, almost $700,000 in a materials repair budget. Do we really need that much if some of it has been siphoned off to supplement the road construction part? Everybody understand what I'm saying?
Well, I also think the bigger
I agree with you
discussion,
completely, that's what I
Yeah.
was saying, I think the issue is we don't know the numbers to be able to, it'd look much better if we could split it up the way it really is, and we don't have the numbers to be able to do.
We may be throwing too much
Well-
at this, not that the roads don't need work, but
well, and I guess the question is, of this percentage of money that's in here, you know, Phil obviously has a priority, you know, he's repairing the things that are in dire repair, and maybe actually we're now going to fund that potentially in the road fund. Correct. So are we overfunding this? But there are probably other roads that he could then go around and be patching that, you know, were number 8 on the list versus number 1.
But-
So maybe they don't need as much.
But we haven't really added, like Joe's point would be, we haven't really added any money.
Well, there's never enough money for roads.
So- But I mean, we haven't added any money, anyway. I mean, the 246, we just, instead of it being in this bucket, we're gonna move it to that bucket. And,
But it's gonna focus our efforts on what we're,
yeah,
Work coverage.
right. And again, part of it is gonna, when we talk about road fund or whatever, it comes together. But if the objective is this to be mostly maintenance, I think that's becomes clear
And it's more transparent.
going forward, right?
Explain it.
And some of this might need to get chewed up, so, well, only because it seems like that there might be some roads that could do something in between on reconstruction temporarily, this would allow. So I guess I was trying not to reduce the amount we spent by proposing this, because we probably have needs, it's just want this to be a maintenance approach, and then the road fund to be an improvement approach. So we kind of know what we're spending where.
can we ask Barb to either look at some other towns or something, come up with some names? And the other, I think I have no issue with going ahead and doing it. What I have an issue with is how it looks. And one of the things that I think even looks bad is just,
Increasing the line.
well, no, is just plain this, calling it materials. Materials, man, that's not even roads, that's like
We're definitely gonna break that
soap or
out.
something.
Yeah, I think
you know,
that-
I- you know,
Between maintenance and
It's
whatever
maintenance
else.
and it's
But yeah.
materials,
Yeah,
so it must be drums of soap, I don't know, you know,
Yeah, I think we don't need.
I might propose coming up with a more modest number, rather than taking the existing 430,000 and adding 246 to it,
Just 670.
coming up with a more modest number in between, putting the town aid road fund 246 here, but maybe adding another 250,000 instead of 430.
I think,
See, because we don't know how much you're spending on maintenance and how much on construction. Put the rest of the money toward the road fund, and you've already put $1 million extra there this year. I mean, we really do need it there. Rather than put $250,000 extra here and $250,000 extra there, not knowing where it's being spent.
Well,
it's not,
I think when we go to look at roads, I think we want to bond it, so that 750 will probably come way down if you look at what debt service comes out.
and
So
this,
again, we have a big hole to fill as far as.
and
what
this
the budget
$250,000
increase is.
isn't extra.
Right,
don't forget. The
but
core-
some of it was being spent on this page, and some of it was being
Yes.
spent on that page.
Yes.
But I really think most of it was maintenance. We'll let Barb look and see if she can get a handle on that, but I think when we look at, again, the roads, I think we wanna manage that number a different way, because
I'm not against managing the number a different way, I'm against the number.
But I think Phil would say, if he were here instead of on Saturday.
Saturday,
I think Phil would say, this past year I used 430 plus 246, and if you cut $200,000 out of it,
So then why don't we move on and have Barb on some numbers, and we'll see realistically what we think.
I can tell you what I did in my other town. The road fund was we had a highway fund. That's the only thing that went in the highway fund was the state tar money. We had capital projects for reconstructions of roads, which was bonding. And then we had, in Public Works, had a line for road maintenance, and that would be whatever the number was, I can't remember off the top of my head, but that would be for patchwork and culverts and stone that they needed during the year to maintain things. It wasn't reconstruction, it was maintenance of roads.
Materials.
And some materials, yeah, because you've got asphalt and et cetera. But that's just one. I'm sure other towns, Joe would know that handle it differently.
right, well conceptually, it's just a county road general or special. Like I say, I think it should be here so we can manage it better, but. So we can talk about the 460, what number we really want it to be, plus the town aid road, so it gets to the same place. So we're really cutting the 460, if that's what we think we want to do, past lower than the 430 we already talked about.
Right, that was what I was asking, is if we wanted to reflect the 246 in the 430, so then there would almost be two lines. One would be the 246 line called something, and the 184 that's left would be called something else.
That's what I was getting at.
But I don't know if that's useful or
But that's
not.
cutting the amount we're going to spend on
Yeah.
the road.
Right.
I know.
Right.
you just cut
Financially.
246,000
I cut materials, yes, I know.
Phil, and he's gonna say,
I don't know
I can't
But we don't know
fix the
that.
roads for that.
Did we? We don't know how much is being spent on maintenance and how much is being spent on
But it's
construction.
being spent.
What's that?
Yeah, but if it's an actual, he's
But-
charging
Yeah,
construction, new construction to the town road aid versus the town road fund, then that's wrong, I mean, you shouldn't be doing that.
The only
We need to
way,
do better.
we can do whatever we want. The only way we can cut the 430 plus the 246 is to say that a share of that is being used for road construction, and we're going to fund that share in fund it, bond it, whatever the heck we're gonna do in the road fund. But that's the only way I see that we can cut any of this, is to put it into the road fund. And then when we get to the road fund, we can say, fine, we're gonna cut that too because we're gonna bond it. I mean, that's a subject for another time. But
Or we keep the 430 as something, and then the 246 is a line called something
We'll
else.
put that on the road fund page. But it sounds like more of it's being spent on maintenance than construction.
Right, so I mean, maybe, as Joe was saying, I think maybe if it belongs here, then we're gonna have to show it, but what we know is that it's money in and then money out. It's not a real extra 246, it's already been, it already exists. in other
But the
words.
question I asked, really, it's not all spent on maintenance. Some is spent on construction.
I don't know that much.
I don't know if that's,
Well,
if he's got,
I asked before, and that's what you said.
I said that in that fund, there's specific projects. Now, if in that road fund, he is charging that in that line and not charging it to the particular project, then that's not correct, because it should go into each project. So I don't know what he's using that road fund for. And again, I can get the detail and find out exactly what it is, because if you have a major project and you've got a line for it, that's the line you should be using. You shouldn't be using a maintenance line. You see what I'm saying? I mean, and then therefore, and I think I talked to Joe about this, that any road project should have their own line.
Right.
So we should
the
start
county
designating,
And authorization, we kind of has been, again, like I said, that fund is really not being used technically correct. So we should, like we did for those other roads, say, well, this is the road we're gonna fix, we think it's gonna be 250, let's set up that project and approve it that way, so that we know what the plan is. And again, with bonding, that becomes a little bit more clear, but
I'm not explaining myself well tonight, move along.
No, I think.
Joanne
The
understands
piece
me, I
that's
think.
missing, I think the piece that's missing is that if we're gonna put construction under the road line, then we need to strip it out of town aid road money and materials money. And we don't know that number, so we can't do it. I think that's where you're
Yeah,
coming from.
it sounds like tonight we're trying to put maintenance here and construction money here. Everybody
Yes.
agrees with that?
Right.
But we don't know what's.
We have 246,000, it's being spent somehow. We don't know how much is being spent here and how much is being spent here,
Right.
correct? Then why are we gonna put it all here? When we think some of it in the past has been spent here.
Well, that's a fuzzy.
We're trying to do something very intelligent tonight, but maybe we're funding it in the wrong pot. Or we're not funding it proportionally correct.
could be, because like you said, when we get to how we're gonna deal with roads, that you might need less materials if we're doing it a different way. And that's the number we don't really exactly know right now.
Could I suggest a reworked pink sheet for 305 that would look a little different, a little more detailed, like what it is that you think it should look like?
oh, I agree, we can do that,
So-
but we need to sit, Jonah, whatever he wants to, put the correct nomenclature.
I guess,
And
does that make
then
sense?
What
by
numbers?
analyzing,
So does
I
it
don't
change
think
look
at the data.
That's the part that whatever it's being spent on has to reflect the number. But I'm just saying, if we put this off and redo the 305 pink sheet,
And maybe the road.
and it tells us a little bit more about what goes where, we might be able to make a better decision.
It's not gonna help us with the number, it'll just help us with
The breakdown.
what we're spending
Yeah, well-
or what we have. But the number for this year is still subject to.
Oh, I see what you're saying. We could approve a number.
Well, we can approve a number, but then we're still gonna talk about
The road fund.
road later. So maybe let's do some analysis, leave maintenance alone for tonight. Get some little bit more information, and then maybe talk about the road fund concurrently with this section and come to a decision that way.
Sounds like we have to.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
That was a long way around.
Well, at least it's $250,000 we were talking about, not 200.
Discussion with Phil Saturday is short. This up conservative tonight.
It did.
Can I just ask one other thing about tree maintenance, Joe? Because you asked him about it, but I wasn't really clear on it. Tree removal for the 90,000 is when town guys do it, right? But doesn't Bartlett also come in?
Well, Seal and P can hire contractors.
Okay, so Phil
Subcontract.
doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
Private.
hire somebody.
Yeah,
So
Phil
you
says,
Hire somebody. to
Phil
do it.
says
The
most,
contractor works and have them there, it's not town crew for the most part.
But
Yes.
hired by
Phil.
Phil? Okay, that
Some
was
of it,
out of
some
what,
of it,
out of what line?
the tree removal.
Oh,
no, that is, the tree removal
So there's
is
both.
contracted services that Phil hires.
In
But the
addition,
power company and the
Oh, yeah,
phone
no,
company
no.
and all the other guys hire
Right, they're
people
all
also.
but the tree removal line includes the outside contractor guy and the town employee guy.
Not
Or
the town
not.
employee's salary.
Okay, that's what I'm getting
So we're gonna skip,
Skip the 305 for now.
oh,
We'll-
305.
Just
Yeah.
305,
Okay.
we'll move to 320 for now.
Okay.
since
Gotcha.
that one might be-
Well, one has been moved. A couple $100.
So maybe OSHA, if that's classes or something, it's not fine or anything,
Which one you talking
but, OSHA federal regulation,
about?
just classes or? Is that, yeah,
Sorry, I didn't know what you were talking about.
no, that's,
I'll make a motion, we approve this one at 38,500.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? I guess I'm gonna recommend we sit on 325 because it relates to that county road analysis, so I think it'd be better to wait and talk about that, all that together.
okay. Yeah, why are we up on fire hydrants? What do I have? How many?
Two.
Two? Do they need repairs?
Yeah, repairs,
Repairs?
fire tanks and scan pipes.
I make a motion, okay, selectmen's request.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Who made that motion?
Garbage per ton is going up.
Is this like the numbers,
Pretty good, but
does it like the new numbers?
yeah, I think the
Yeah, I
seventy-five
think it was
reflects,
up at
yeah,
10,000 and
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
10,000.
yeah, reflects
in the budget.
3.95. Bottom line. What should that?
I guess there's nothing to chip away at here.
Other than the selectmen's study on the whole issue this year.
It's a two-part study.
Two-part.
It'll be study one to fix for now, and it'll be study two to fix for next year.
Oh, that's in capital.
But you said you're looking at changing the fees.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a windshield over that,
No, they won't, not by the seniors.
yeah. What'd you say, Mark?
Not by the seniors.
Well,
Well, I mean, the cost is up, right?
yeah, well, there should have,
It is a bargain, so, you know,
What I
yes,
said.
I've, had- yes, yes, yes,
and there
yes.
should have been a
I'm always
lynching,
surprised.
should have been a lynching last year when the disposal fee got passed along, all the, that was no tax savings, it just went from your tax bill to your trash collection.
Yeah,
So, you know, it is what it is.
yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of things to be looked at, big picture, to be honest. So,
But the public has.
but, I mean, there's things that we can do between now and to work on this budget, but I think there's things that we can do long-term to, yeah, that I'm not gonna have answers for
Yep,
this budget.
okay.
You're saying a fee increase wouldn't be July 1? Oh, it
Yes.
couldn't, oh, it couldn't.
Yes,
Oh, good, okay.
It's on your agenda.
it is, but not for seniors.
Well, you know, as a senior, I'm not sure well, that's a philosophical question. I mean, really, an extra $50, really, an extra $4 a month, an extra cup of coffee at McDonald's, and we're talking cataclysm here? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I know that's insensitive.
Do you
but-
wanna stand with me at the lynching
I
party?
do, Liz, I do, because I don't think it's a problem, correct me if I'm wrong. I know
But
there's,
it's an age discrimination.
wait,
It might be, reverse.
I know that there will be people who would like that kind of,
I mean, I'm always of the
Deference,
feeling that if somebody in the town is of need, if they approach the first selectman's
Yes,
office.
of course.
individually,
Yes.
as opposed to a
I
policy
think,
thing.
yeah.
I'm fine with that.
When you're not verifying somebody's income.
Well, that's the thing, and
think that
again, I don't think it's a
there
lot of
can
money.
be the little old lady, and there can be the mom with 4 kids, you know, getting all types of town assistance.
It's
you
more
know.
of a philosophical thing, and
Exactly.
what it's about, and why it's done, and how much, how many questions you ask, and, but again,
Yeah.
it's an extra $4,
Yeah, but it's.
or whatever.
I just want to be sure you're working on it. I
Harlan,
didn't mean to,
have
I
I ever
didn't,
misled
now that we
you?
have this extra time in these meetings, I didn't mean to drag.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Well,
would you
if
please
you're
stop
getting
filling
out
up the
here
extra
in
time,
just
Harlan?
an
We
hour,
can-
I might have time to work on it tonight.
Okay, yep.
But
all
yes, Harlan, I promise you, I am working on it.
right. Okay.
But since Saturday, I've even worked on it.
Let it
Since
go.
Saturday.
Say that again, he didn't.
I even worked on it since that word begins with S and it's not Sunday.
Right.
But also, there's a clerical aspect to making allowances for a senior price, or does it add extra
But
work?
we're-
that-
we're
I
that-
don't
We're-
think so. I
Well,
think
Never
we're
mind.
okay.
They're gonna
I
have to
think we're
ask
okay. I think I got
They're
it
gonna
worked out.
card the,
I'll
And
make
it's
a
not an
you
motion,
laugh,
AARP
but
card.
again,
I'll make a motion
philosophical.
to approve 329.5, account 335, West Disposal.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I do have a change to this.
Trees?
To tree maintenance, I do. I think 2012, 2013, I don't remember. State made a change that you have to go through these classes to be a tree warden and be certified. And we don't have a certified tree warden. Phil does not want to take the class. Jim Puska has offered to take the class and do that. So at the next Board of Selectmen meeting, we're going to appoint Jim to be our tree warden. So he's already doing planning and zoning on wetlands. So if I add, I mean, I believe he can do it within his 20 hours a week, although there might be times he needs to go over, so just we don't run into a salary issue. I either need to add $5,000 to his line under, and make it all encompassing, or put $5,000 in tree warden, however you guys want to do it. I don't think he's gonna actually break his, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah, but put it where it belongs.
okay.
And what if we told the state we were gonna let the trees do what they wanted and not have a warden to keep an eye on them?
We can, except they've been sending it for they've been sending a letter for 3 years, and then I got a phone call, and I got an email, and
They have,
Phil knows, I mean, he's,
they have people with nothing
It
better
would
to
make
do.
all the
He's
trees
all
out
aware of
there
it.
with the new lift and the
Yeah,
ambulance.
yeah.
well, it also might help with, we do cut a lot of trees down, right? So,
Yeah, this is just one more, the people in Hartford just keep making it harder and harder to live in Connecticut. And we've gotta drive that home to somebody. It's just, it's a problem.
maybe we'll save money in trees.
I'm sure.
I don't know.
So you
But
wanna
it's-
add 5,000,
Yeah, I mean, it might be less, but I don't think, I know it won't be more.
and Joe working as a 20-hour employee is considered a part-time
Yep.
employee? Okay. This is
Even if it goes to, it's still fine.
I just don't wanna see us all of a sudden.
Nope. I already checked it out.
So this goes to 95?
Well, the tree warden line gets 5,000.
Right.
Yeah, then it goes to 95.
Well, the
Well,
total,
we
we
could
were
take-
talking about.
You could take 5,000 out of
Yeah,
tree.
there you
go.
Yeah.
Because that's
Wish
up.
I thought of that.
60,
However, look at what he spent in 2014.
Yeah, I know.
That was a storm.
That was a storm.
That was
year.
a very,
Storm.
what about
And-
October
and-
one?
Well, again, philosophically, that would be a nice trade-off.
But it should,
I also feel
it should
that-
catch, I mean, the tree, if
They've
the bulk of the
cleared lots
tree
somewhere.
issues are related to storms and all, then it should sort of catch up. I mean, the storms wipe it all out, they clean it all up, and that was the low-hanging branches, if you would, and so, pardon the pun. And the next storm doesn't have much impact, you know.
I also feel like CLP has been, I don't think there's not been a road that I've been on. I mean, they've done Little City, they've done Brainerd, Long 81,
Country.
I mean, they've done a lot
Right.
of neighborhoods, I mean. Not saying that there aren't other random trees, and very often they're from private properties that just happen to fall the right way onto their properties.
Well, he's already spent over 70,000 this year. It's gonna,
Might have been fixing roads with some.
Yeah, but that's a bunch of roads, right? That tree part comes under first construction for a road, doesn't it go under a road?
if it's
Part of the
part of
project.
that project to get the road construction, then it would go into the project.
I mean, is Phil
Somebody from the
concerned
state
about
would come down.
The
particular
kids couldn't play on it.
part of town that hasn't had attention to it?
So are you gonna make that
Not
90?
really
Not
clarified.
Would it-
It just feels to me it's mandated.
Right? It's not really
Yeah,
clarified.
Yeah, he doesn't think that's enough.
Yeah,
I know,
But
yeah.
No, he said that, he
I
said.
mean,
he didn't think it was
historically,
enough.
we've never spent anywhere near that.
Alright, I don't know. Does he not like
Well, I
trees?
can't do it because I'm not living here, so.
Yeah,
No, I think he likes trees.
yeah, I'm gonna make a motion, we lower the tree removal line to 85,000, so the total is 90,000. Just going on the record, try to economize somewhere this year.
And then we can tell the state that instead of removing trees, we have someone watching.
Certified.
Yeah,
How
Yep.
many?
Certified to say which trees should be removed.
I'll second that, if somebody didn't already.
Spoken like a good fellow state employee.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thanks, Dave.
That was for you.
Thank you, thank you. I won't spend it all in one
So,
time.
Just as a side, I thought the tree warden had to be a resident.
No,
No? No, I just,
wow, where'd that come from?
I always thought that the tree,
No.
because I remember.
In case there's like an
No.
emergency tree issue, he's gotta get there fast.
No,
I remember in
Unbelievable.
essays, the tree warden, I remember the big thing, and maybe
Really?
it was just a plaque in town that they wanted it, the garden club people wanted it to be a local person.
Could be in.
Well,
I
Jim-
can't tell.
well, he's an employee.
No, it's fine, I just,
Yeah.
like, sometimes they have.
No,
like,
I've
the
spoken,
municipal
I've been
agent
on,
has to be a
listen,
resident
I've talked to
of
the
town.
tree guy 3 times already.
It used to, that used to, I mean, they changed a lot of those things, I had to be a representative of. It's one of the odd things.
So we continue it on the path of Saturday, or going in order?
No, I do, might as well do Saturday.
well, it's fresh in our mind.
All right. Ambulance.
Ambulance.
Of course, most of what's fresh in my mind, I don't understand. Because their numbers just,
Do you think it? It's not my
This
notes.
is the one that,
This is probably a larger question than just handling what's in front of us. You know, we can do a short-term thing and fund them, but I think we all agree that there's a conversation that has to be had about what this agency is and you know, how it's gonna sustain itself going forward.
Well, if there was anything I got out of Saturday, I think it was that they, and this is, to my mind, was a big change. This is the first time I heard that from them.
I know.
That they recognize that they need to look at a potential change and figure out how to do it.
That's true.
And I think in the past, it's just been, this is how we are, this is how we're gonna be, and it's sort of a take it or leave it. So I think just the fact that they're, seem to be open to looking at other ways and the best way, I thought was very encouraging. That said, I don't think they've gone down the path far enough to figure out what that means financially and what it means, you know, and this year we may just sort of be stuck funding it to support it the way it has been, while they look at what's going on. God, I mean, I don't,
Sounds like that's been said in the past though too, and let's just get them through this next year and then.
yeah, but in the past,
Revisit.
I don't disagree with that, except that in the past, I didn't get any sense they really
That they
wanted it.
were-
Yeah, I
They might
felt
have
that
said,
they were
yeah,
moving
okay,
more.
we'll look, but that ain't gonna really happen.
Joanne,
This
what-
year, I think they kind of took the lead, and
And one of the reasons the Board of Selectmen decided to give them 125 is because we just didn't want to give them what they requested and kind of say, okay, and move on. And again, knowing that we were going to look to do that study,
Mhm.
so we just figured, you know, if
Oh,
97.5 is what they got last year.
Right,
You know, they wanted 163.
I know.
So we just said, let's just go with a middle number, maybe a little bit on the lower side. Not that it's right or wrong,
No, I
but
know.
that's the reason why we didn't give them the 163, because we wanted it to be addressed.
Oh, and I was asking more about why not the 97.5?
Yeah, so, yeah. No, that's fine, but we didn't want, you know, it's an issue. and
Better
we-
not have a heart attack, I guess.
And that was the other thing, is we don't want any town resident to suffer, God forbid there was an emergency or there was an issue,
Well, that's
because,
the question.
you know, are you gonna argue that somebody's life is worth $30,000?
No, but.
No, I don't mean.
I don't
just-
understand I'm not sure if I get the connection between a reduction in funding and patient safety. But
Mhm.
if that's true,
Mhm.
then obviously there's no argument for that. I
Right.
just don't get the
Right.
cause
The
and
towns
effect.
around us don't.
Do you
seem
think
to-
they
Well, there's that, Sheriff, that's a
And that's the thing.
I have my notes
Yeah.
from Saturday.
back of the net.
We are, if we go with their number, the ERM number, 338,000, that's the number that really bothers me the page. We are funding 84% of the hours in a year.
Yeah, they're not an operating,
No,
they're not operating.
but they know that.
I know
right.
they do.
But they come back and say, well, if Chester ever gets caught not covering, well, this has been going on for 10 years and nobody's ever come down on them. There's gonna be a state agency that would.
Another agency.
What I was,
We are subsidizing
83% of
the other towns.
Yes.
I'm not sure.
but if this is just a
The
contribution.
mutual aid, we are the ones who are always there for mutual aid.
Except that his case, and I think I understood it correctly, his case is that increase incremental cost, not fixed cost. So you can't say that those, other,
Mutual aid.
Mutual aid.
thank you. You can't say that the mutual aid
Is contributing
call
to that.
costs are as high as an average cost because it's an incremental expense. And yet they get reimbursed for most of those calls the same as all their other calls. So that bumps up their volume that actually makes them more viable. So I think there's an issue with the ambulance thing. I'm not saying therefore it's not a problem. But I don't think to say that mutual aid is the issue. I don't think it is. I think you made a case that mutual aid helps
Brings
reduce
in
their.
revenue, that's
it
true.
brings
But
in
But I don't think it does. We're paying for 8 8,736 hours a year, and they get 500 calls. If they were getting 8,000 calls, then you could say, yeah, we need somebody there all the time. There are likely a lot of hours where those two people are sitting there for 46 bucks an hour, 22, 23, not getting called. So in that case, it's costing us 46. We didn't make $400, $500, $600 for the ambulance ride, but it cost us to have the coverage there. I think we're over-covered. The ERM is over-covered.
I mean, then the issue is do you want 24-hour call or don't you? And then
We're
that
close
gets-
to it now.
Then that gets deeper into the issue of the first responder fire department versus what does the ambulance do, and it gets, you need to do the study.
The only thing I was looking at 97.5 from the town, their income is $398,000. So that's the starting off point. And then, you start looking at some of these expenses and, how much more would they need beyond $398,000 to survive? Or to continue to provide service? Well, I think we know.
Well, what's
They need
the,
$635,000.
what's the timing? Liz, you have a sense of what the timing on doing a study and coming up with a better answer
Yeah, we
is?
came up with another company today, so, I mean, this is a priority for us, so what, we get it out, we RFP it, we'll know by like August?
Do you think the study be done
September
by
should be-
August, or you get it started by August?
Oh, no, I would hope that we'd started before then.
Yeah, but be done by
done,
like
yeah.
August, September?
So, and then you have to sit down with them and whoever else is involved and sort it through and drive that study into a real viable change. But to say that by the middle of next year,
Yeah, I mean, we have,
that could be done, that's realistic.
I think so.
So then the question is, I'm reluctant to go to the ambulance people and say, we cut your budget, figure out for next year, tough. But I would be willing to go to them and say, we cut your budget because we're doing a study, and if by the time the study's done and we work through an implementation process, we find that you guys were right, and you need $163,000, we're willing to fund it.
Well,
But
that
if
goes
you
back
find
to
out that there are alternatives that come up with whatever other number is,
They're not gonna
You
like
know.
the alternatives, unfortunately.
no, I disagree. I got a whole different sense
I know,
at
Cheryl,
Saturday's
honestly,
meeting.
I mean,
Whole different sense.
That's why you ended up at the middle number, I guess.
I mean,
It's
I've
not
met with them
Up to the number.
at least 5 times, at least. And, within the membership, I can say maybe there's people that, I think you're gonna have some people who feel one way or the other, but I can pretty much say that every time we've met, Rudy and Doug have both been there in addition to a few other people, and it has been the same message every time. So they know that they need help and they know that they need a change.
The thing that's different, I guess, is that if you've had this conversation before where you say, let's just get them through this year and then we'll, figure it out later. But now we actually are gonna figure it out
You
later.
have to.
So you
Yeah,
could almost argue that you can give them what the selectmen, I'm contradicting myself, but you could give them what the selectmen asked for, because we know that's gonna probably change
Well,
as a
no.
result of the study.
Well, that was my thought. I mean, my thought was that, they run January to December, right? So our budget is obviously July to June. So, for them, they have to get through the rest of this year. And then what does that next year look like for them? So that was my thought, is cutting some of it back. I mean, I don't know. And I don't know what the study's gonna say, but, and then as far as we're gonna buy an ambulance conversation, I mean, I haven't, I wasn't on the Board of Finance the past 4 years, so I mean, it's been on my radar. I mean, I think they've always talked about buying another ambulance, but whether they were actually gonna buy it or not, I don't know. And we've had conversations of, should they buy it, should we buy it? If
Should
they
they
buy
buy it?
it, and then we have to turn around and sell it, that doesn't make
I
any sense.
thought the way that we had left it though, after talking about it for several years, last year, they were going to buy the ambulance with the money they were sitting on.
Yeah,
Everybody's been sitting through all these meetings.
Mm-hmm.
haven't they? We kept asking, why are you sitting on $500,000? We need to buy an ambulance. And if I recall correctly, last year they were gonna buy it, and then in the future, let the town put it in capital and everything.
yep, and the capital.
But they didn't buy it, and they want another
They still want the money.
$80,000.
Well, we took that 40 out because we took we had a conversation from the time that was. And then what they said to me is they have $421,000 in savings. They earmarked $200,000 for a new ambulance because previously it had been $160, okay? And then they wanted to keep $100,000 in contingency, and that left them with about $121,000 left. And they knew that that was it. After that, they don't have anything.
So when you.
Well, that would be what they would have to kick in and then, you know,
So when you calculated your number, you took the 40,000 out?
well, if you look at the 237, 3 here, okay? And that's what we were trying to figure out.
What are we looking at?
The
That
profit and
second
loss
page.
statement,
Profit and loss, I'm
second
sorry,
page.
the P and L statement.
Okay,
January
Okay.
to December.
So
yeah. There were,
you take $40,000 off of the 237, 300,
yeah,
that's what got them to the 163 that they asked for,
Oh,
okay?
You said that, yeah.
If you take that capital out now,
that's,
no, that's
No,
not
that's
it,
not-
Liz,
no,
though, they also have an
160.
ambulance
No, plus-
replacement contribution too.
right. So that was the, well, that's what we talked, that's what, when Barbara, I was sitting next to Barb yesterday.
237,163
That's why I said,
would be-
They have ambulance replacement fund of 40,000, and then they have, oh, I'm sorry, that was the ambulance, and then the capital
Capital,
equipment expense was the upgrades that they have to do to
Oh,
the
the
second
stretcher.
ambulance.
Then they said they put that in materials also, so they don't really know what their numbers are.
Yeah, I started asking about the medical operating supplies,
sure,
the 25,000, we talked about the stretcher, but I think the stretcher was really in the 40,000. I think.
Well, they have a, in their package, that they have a debt service, that they were gonna do a lease for something, and it was around 15 grand. I don't know if they put that lease in materials, which really should be separated as debt service. And I still think some of their other numbers should come down. I don't know how you put together
They
a
even
budget
said,
that's
like, their medical
$250,000 too low.
And when I met with Middlesex, you know, they said to me, they said, there's no reason that, you know, all the ambulance associations shouldn't look at what their supplies are, right? And then buy everything together and try to separate it out and try to see, you know, how they could have cost savings, you know, that way. You know, they basically said that they're seeing it across, we're not unique. We're one of the few towns that they said they've seen that's recognized that we have an issue. And that most of the, you know, ambulance services, they're all functioning in a deficit.
They're nowhere near like this. And the difference is, they kept saying, the level of service we want to provide, not the level of service we have to provide. They're two totally different things.
Well,
They kept saying what they wanted to do.
Right.
They never said what they are
Okay.
required to
But
do.
I
They're
asked-
two different things.
which is, and I asked them that question at the
Ask
last
them,
meeting, and they said to me that the PSA, that this is what, and I asked them to bring the backup with him, and I knew that he had to work through the night. So, he said the PSA license that they actually hold, the ambulance license that they hold, if they don't meet their quota of covering calls, they actually are in jeopardy of losing their license. But to the point of, they use Chester as an example. We're providing 20% of mutual aid to Chester, that's just Haddam. What are the other towns providing? But nobody's come in and taken their license away. So when, because I said that, I said what we have to, what we want to, and they said what we're obligated to, meaning by the contract.
What I have
So-
seen OEMs do in other towns, and more downstate, is come in and say, you have to have paid people. They have forced the ambulance service to
Well, that was.
contract with ERM or somebody, or hire part-timers or
Hire-
whatever, to come make sure they cover the percentage of the calls.
Right,
They'll do that, from what I've seen anyway, before
Yeah.
yanking the license.
yeah. So that was just to, you know, because I asked that question, and I'm not
I know you asked,
disputing you.
but they didn't bring anything.
No, they didn't,
They
and-
kept, they never, the line consistently was the level of service we want to
I know,
provide.
I
It
know.
wasn't that they had to provide.
I
So
understand.
I don't, I wanna know what
but I
they
mean,
have to do.
Well, what do they say?
But that's an issue with, I mean, we didn't talk with them about that on Saturday. But I mean, that's an issue for the townspeople as well, because I mean, I think the towns, if all the state requires is that you have somebody here from 8 to 5, Monday to Friday, and good luck to you evenings and weekends, I don't think the townspeople would consider that adequate. So I mean,
But we need to know the cost for both and let the townspeople decide. Right now, they're just giving us a $380,000 number and saying, this is what we have to do. I mean,
so I
And I
think it
didn't want them to
it
go
goes back
defunct, right? I
to my
just-
mind, it goes back to pick a number, and we gotta get the study done at work, so
Correct.
to the best solution.
And really, if that study ends up saying, as we've said, this is a model that really may not
Mhm.
work, then at least you have the study
Mhm.
that backs that up.
Correct.
But it may not work. I don't know what the alternative is, except for maybe the town to enter into a contract with the RM, and then,
Hunters or something.
but then who does the billing? You know, because,
Well, no, you're,
Well, it used to
what
be
you
that way,
said,
the
Dave.
town
There-
used to have the contract.
well, that's true, that's true. But it's like you said, that they're the middleman, really.
And they
send out the
understood, they
bills and-
agreed,
yeah.
they're just the pass-through right now, they're running it for us for the most part.
but I think I'd argue that based on their administrative costs, the town would be very hard pressed to try to do
To
that
duplicate
for the
it.
same price.
Absolutely.
You know,
I
so I
think
mean,
that's
so
their
in that
argument.
regard, it's a good thing. So, I mean,
I don't have enough data, I mean, that's what's bothering me, and that's why we, you know,
What does everybody think about that ERM number, the
It's
338,000? It just seems,
It's very
because
high.
it covers so many hours. Once they corrected the numbers,
they get paid $22.80 an hour, I have that number.
I was ballparking at 23, so it was a little high. But 2 years ago, it was about 230,000. The existing year, we're 277, so it went up 40+ thousand. But they're putting a 60+ thousand
Right,
increase.
so they're having, because they're running out of volunteers, they're
They
needing
need
them to cover more shifts.
But
That's
they
all that it
basically
is.
have almost no
But they also
volunteer
said
coverage.
they had no control over the overtime in the prior contracts. And under the new contract,
There wasn't no control, it was lack of monitoring.
or lack of
They
monitoring,
allowed it to happen.
they allowed the overtime to occur.
Right,
So if
Now
they're
they're
saying
trying to
now
pull
they're
that
gonna have better prior approvals to some of that.
they, yeah, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I
So
mean, I have
just-
the contract from 2013, right? So what they said was that they made it known that they wanted them to be sensitive of paying overtime on what was being done. But to your point, I don't really know if they're monitoring that.
Yeah.
So from what I
Didn't
understand,
they indicate,
the bills came in, Georgia would check them, and then she would send them to the ambulance, and then they would check them, so it was like a duplication. So then, that's why they ended up signing the contract for,
Right, because she really didn't know, she actually just did the math, but she didn't know
Where they actually.
where they were, or what they did, or if there was overtime,
Right.
so
So the
that didn't
auditing
make
in
much
that-
sense.
Are these contracts
Difficult.
January to December?
no, so this is the other problem. They signed the contract, and the contract, and again, anything can be changed. The contract that exists right now is good until July of 2017.
Oh, okay, well.
And it
Doug
brings-
kept talking about other towns' weekday coverage.
Mhm,
Every other town I asked about, he
Yeah.
said weekday coverage,
Yeah.
which is what we started with.
correct.
Weekday coverage should cost us $134,000, even if it were 7 days a week.
Mhm.
Well, that's what I was
But-
getting.
Well,
but
what's
your-
funny
but
is-
your- But your argument there, Dave, is how come they don't have more volunteers? And they're as stymied by that as anybody.
No.
That's not gonna change, I don't think. I
No,
know
it's
that's
not.
where they
It's
want
not
it
gonna
to go.
change.
It's not-
It's
it's
not,
not
I mean,
gonna
that's not, I don't think
Not
that's an
enough.
argument.
But what we're basically paying for here is a paid ambulance department in town. If we're gonna do that, we should just do it.
Well,
And you have a
But
study
it'll be more
that
than
you'll be.
9075,
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
or
Yeah.
125.
But at least we know the number, right?
but we are so close to it now, we keep saying it's gonna be so outrageously expensive. we're within 16% of that now. Will the total cost of having your own ambulance service be a whole lot higher? Yes, but they would also have the $250,000 a year of income from the insurance companies that we're not thinking about if we had to pay somebody, whatever.
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out, like what would go away, right? So the pay-as-you-ride would go away, pay-to-ride, which isn't a ton. The billing, you know, whether we did that internally or we did it outside, that we could still get somebody to do that.
We want to contract that out, medical
Yeah.
buildings. or
Right.
something.
Yeah,
right.
It's not-
We just don't use the right company, that's another thing
Hmm.
that they need to look at, because $38,000 for accounting and billing,
I thought that was high.
that's
It's
very.
$50, I'm sorry, they charge, it's $60 a call. That's what they
$500.
tell me.
Billing, so for every invoice, they're billing out $60. I would go up to bid,
Which
that would be the
seems
first thing
high.
I would do.
I mean, the pay-to-ride is
Usually it's a
exactly on the money, it's
percentage.
720
It's usually not a
cost.
flat rate, so that tells you the number's too high already.
The thing is, I don't know if we're gonna solve this for the coming fiscal
Right,
year.
we're
I mean,
sitting here trying
only the,
to come to the conclusion
not
that
gonna
the
solve
study
it for-
hasn't even.
but
We're
but
not
when the
gonna solve
study,
it
when the
for the-
study's done, all the
Right.
things we're saying now, we'll probably end up saying again, and then we'll have some data
Right.
to back it up. And then, you know, if this is not sustainable, then I guess, you know.
I mean, that's why I looked at, if we run over, we have contingency. If we need to do something, I come to the Board of Finance. I mean,
So you took the
No, I think
160.
their contract reads whatever we, but you're just saying that the contract through 2017
well, this is the,
actually says
this
that
is
we
the
will
old,
fund
no,
them.
no, yeah, this is the old contract. This is
Okay.
the contract between, yeah, the town.
All right, so it's not the new one.
No, this is for EMS, but basically, the money that they were getting from us previously, the 97.5, that's what was getting paid to EMS.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, or
Right.
ERM, yeah, for emergency services, sorry.
But that's only a portion of what they were.
Yeah,
what they-
anything beyond
Oh,
that, they would
okay.
build individually to the Haddam volunteer
Yeah.
fire, or Haddam ambulance.
So they had their original number of 237,000. They recognized they weren't gonna buy an ambulance. So they lowered it to 163, and then you lowered it by about another 40,000. That 40,000 is assuming that the ERM number would need to be that high?
No, I mean, I just thought the ERM number was crazy.
Yeah, I do
Yeah,
too.
that's
I
what I'm
don't
saying,
know if
that's the number you figured
Yeah,
could be much
that's
lower.
the number that needs to change, but again, that's based on volunteers. But the other thing is, all right, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So let's say that they can't get a shift to cover for a night, right?
Mhm.
And so let's just say they call, I always do this with ERM,
Yeah,
okay. To say you need to cover us, but what if they didn't do that? What if, I don't know, they had one person that night or somebody, you know, was sick or whatever and they didn't have anybody and a call came in to Haddam? Wouldn't it go to mutual aid to another town?
To go mutual aid to another town.
Right.
They'll only tone it out so many times before it
Right.
goes to mutual aid.
And see, that's what's happening. And the other thing that they didn't share with you, that they shared with me a number of times, is Rudy does like 3 to 4 shifts himself. And he's gonna retire in another year. So he's doing a lot of shifts, just him.
Well,
So,
the issue isn't shifts, the issue is cost.
right,
Because East Hampton Ambulance, yes, we try to have people signed up on shift. They may or may not be at the ambulance bay. But the critical issue is, if no one's on shift, and it happens quite a bit, or there aren't 2 people on shift,
right.
You have it.
somebody else comes in, because the tone goes out, and somebody else says, yeah, I'll volunteer. But from what I've heard about the Haddam side, they don't have enough volunteers to fill in those scramble calls. So ultimately, that's what you're getting down to, is you don't have enough volunteers to
fulfill.
guarantee to be able to move the
Right.
ambulance more often than not, 24/7. It's not a matter of you have to pay someone to sit there just in case, but,
It's that you can even actually pull it out of this garage.
yeah.
And do we need this paramedic number? Did we decide what, about 83?
I mean, I didn't sign the contract yet, but I don't know how I'm not gonna sign the contract, just sent it over to be reviewed.
And that's based on what happened?
$1 a head.
$1 amount.
This,
dollar
next
amount?
year, and then it's $2 the
And
next
then,
year
yeah, and
after
then
that.
another
Yeah.
two.
Oh, yeah, dollar.
Now, you know, looking at Middlesex and contracting out with them is something else that we could look at. I mean, that would be part of the study, because they do offer that, so I don't know. There's a lot of variables.
But at least you are going to do a study, you'll have some information, and whatever decisions have to be made, at least you can back them up.
No, because this scares me. I mean, we need to know what we're doing. This is important.
But so that 338 for ERM, they don't negotiate the price, that's just ERM tells them X and they have to pay it?
Well, they pay so
No,
much.
they.
No,
they-
they're
they're
billed.
$23 an hour
$23
times the two people, they're just estimating
they're-
the hours.
They're invoiced, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
They're invoiced.
right.
But the whole,
but that number keeps,
right, so the problem
It's
is
because
that,
it's more hours,
yeah.
because they have fewer volunteers.
right,
And they want to provide the coverage that I think they perceive
As-
that the town.
Yes,
The best.
That's
Yes.
just
exactly right.
what they want to do.
Yeah,
To get this thing off dead center, because I think we're gonna sit here tonight trying to reinvent the ambulance department. I'll make a motion that we change it to 100,000 plus the 8333.
Oh,
But I think that we need, but part of that needs to be a comment that they need to hear, and that is that we're doing a study and that we will fund whatever is needed to keep the service that the townspeople expect. And we'll take another look at it in the fall, depending upon what the study comes back with. But that's more than enough money to get them beyond the end of the study.
it's only a $2,500 increase though, over
Yeah, I mean,
the previous
Yeah,
year.
yes.
the selectmen have already made a major cut from what they want.
I was
from what
actually
they
gonna
want.
propose to 125,
125, yeah.
Were you?
Yeah,
me, cheapskate.
yeah.
I'm
Only because
mean,
it's just
It's
to
gonna,
get,
it potentially
this
is gonna
really
be
is the
contingency
last
money.
time.
It's potentially gonna be,
I mean,
if you wanna
and if
support
they're not-
they're not buying the
125.
ambulance,
They're not
that's
gonna
the
buy
other
an
thing.
ambulance.
They're not buying an ambulance.
They
They're
took
sitting on
their
an extra
numbers to
200,000.
237, you factor the ambulance out, you factor the hydraulic, whatever, polyresin testing, you factor out the increase in the supplies, and you factor out like $40,000 ERM is too high, and you arrive at about 125.
No matter what, they have enough money to pay
They
next
do.
year.
Yes, yes.
So whatever we're doing, they still have enough money to operate 100% of next year.
I don't want it to look like, and maybe I'll reconsider them. I don't want it to look like our view is you guys have squirreled away enough money, we wanna be sure that the town gets that and you don't. I don't want it to
You know,
look that
I
way.
think this might be the year they were really gonna buy the ambulance, because now they're
They've said it
coming
for
to
the last
the
3 years.
end of the,
Now we're
no,
going-
I know, but I mean, it really does have a life to it, and I think it really is at the end of its life.
If they don't hurry up and buy one, then it's gonna be getting close to the time to buy the second
I
one.
know, well, then that's it,
Yeah.
that's the
And
conversation
then
about
now we're
capital
too
plan.
close.
And you need
You're
to
not
put
spreading
away.
them out on a 5-year cycle then.
I think they're ready
Is
though.
everybody more comfortable with 125?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make,
You know, make a
scratch
motion.
that and I'll make my motion for the
Plus
selectmen's
the-
request.
I'll second that at 135. Plus the 8333.
130,
Selectmen's request.
and the 425, Haddam and.
But again,
Put a star
the
next to it.
footnote has to be that the study has to get wrapped up.
If they don't find ambulance this year.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Saturday saved us.
If you had been here with their presentation time.
Okay.
So it's 8:30, keep going?
You wanna finish?
What's next?
Saturday?
Knock
Have,
knock off something.
What else was Saturday? What
Do
else
the
did
500,
help
those are usually
something
easy.
500?
Well, crab.
Go 500.
Crad, yeah,
We
Did
We
that.
voted on
Yes,
that.
right.
we did.
Why don't we do the 500s?
expand rec opportunities.
Well, the backup says recreational activities like annual family fun night or subsidy to groups and organizations upon application and review by P&R Commission. So they're giving away money? Good, that's nice.
What was the first part of that?
Recreational activities for the town, either directly annual family fun night concert in conjunction with Haddam River Days or through subsidy to groups and organizations, although that might mean groups and organizations that provide services for Haddam River Days.
So this is the brick, this is the brickyard too, right?
I remember days is a separate budget.
Yeah.
Well, just looking at what they submitted. Do you have what I have?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
I don't know if it's clear, but
And then how much do they want for River Days?
10, this is the.
Well, the River Days is kind of their own thing,
$7,400.
right? The River Days is not related to Park and Rec though.
They do
They
that
sell
family
the
fun
Friday
night
night,
before,
don't
that's
they?
what that money.
That's the
Park and Rec
annual-
does Family Fun Night Friday night, the Haddam River Days organization, so they're not, I shouldn't.
So
I know
family
it's the
fun
same
night must
weekend.
come under this line. Expand recreational opportunities.
River Days wants 5, is that right?
And the fields go out to bid every year?
With
I
other
know,
things.
I always feel like it is the same contractor all the time, but I just don't know that.
yes, for certain things, but some of the,
I mean,
they use Sherwood for something with the mound thing, or there's certain,
and because
I don't remember, it's
we
been a long
don't
time.
charge fee usage fees for like Little League or anything like that, right? No. But we cut Little League's budget a couple of years ago.
There was nothing.
Yeah, they went to nothing.
Forest management.
I know that the soccer field needed some major, there was a lot of.
Yeah, they
holes
had all those things.
That
I
needs
did, I was
to,
up
need to
there,
be
I noticed
fixed on the
there's a couple
soccer
of
field,
ones,
and I
so-
know that that's the only field that I know of.
Spent 47. It's kind of hard to know what, obviously, spring's coming here. But they say-
So if I understand it right,
Parking lot
they're,
issues.
they're up by 10 grand, but we're really merging the two together for the first time this year. If we add the two of those together previously, it's actually a little less this year.
Which two?
What did you,
The green page,
You mean
they've got the brickyard.
Brickyard, right.
I think we merged it.
Yeah, we merged it last year, the brickyard. We got rid of the brickyard and merged it with parking lot.
So
Yeah,
that's
it says
what
the
it- that's
15,
what
16
the
budget
line
includes
Right.
no swing.
Okay, okay.
Well, again, this could be one of those things that we leave to contingency, keep the field maintenance at 55 and
Expanded recreational.
even reduce that too, or split the difference at 7,500. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea, field maintenance at 55 and expanded opportunity 7,500.
They can always come back.
Yeah.
Well, I think, excuse me, can I just make mention that something should be said to them, that they have a $7,500 budget and they would should stick within that budget? Because what happened this time is the 7415, I think that was after the fact. We got all the bills in
It
and
was.
it was spent.
Well, because we started noticing
know.
it on the expenditure
Right,
report. that
right, so I
went
mean,
over.
I think.
And I had asked if some of that was trooper fees.
Right.
And I think part of it was because there was an extra clown or something.
Yeah.
That's right, there was, yeah.
Oh, she overspent, so.
And I said, no.
Yeah, it was
Those are
clowns
some
that did it.
expensive clowns.
But Barbara, to meet that overage, did you move a line, I mean, did you find some money to cover that overage?
No, so it's gonna
No,
be
it's
over
sitting
when
there.
we.
Oh, we're in the
when we-
current, it's
yeah,
in current
it's in
fiscal
For
current
year.
field maintenance, they won't spend all of their field
Field
maintenance.
maintenance is-
But that's,
Oh, so we
I don't
will-
think they were gonna get the money next year then. I think that sounds good.
So keep field maintenance at 55 and expanded opportunities to 7,500. Joe, you do the math on that?
65-1?
65-1?
I'll make the motion to do that.
I'll second that.
Any other
And I-
discussion?
I think it's important, Barbara, as you say, to let them know that.
Well, I mean, they can, can we send them sheets before?
You probably do, but it might,
Yeah.
it might warrant a little note.
Yeah, because I mean, that's a big,
The thing is though, don't you warn them at some point that they're getting close to being over? Or
I think
you
all
don't
the
even-
bills
That
at
happens
one
all in
time.
one day.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? You really
That's
can't,
yeah.
It wasn't until
All of a sudden you
they-
get an invoice for $3,000
Right.
for,
we gotta pay for
Band
the
or whatever
services,
it was, yeah.
but they were overzealous, I think, in their,
Clowning.
yes.
Yep.
Running around?
And balloons and all that good stuff.
There was any income, really?
no,
No.
there's no charge.
I'm sorry.
The Democrats, yeah, the Democrats have a site, we have a site, but we don't pay anything to the Park and Rec Commission to be there, and then the Junior Women's Club, they run the popcorn and stuff like that,
Okay.
but, I mean, they normally, they have, I'm just trying to think, they always have the face painter,
The bounce house.
the bounce houses, the band, and then the balloon clown people.
And I think the electricity is on that too, and they said one of the problems
Oh,
is because
we-
they had the extra bounce houses they needed.
Yeah, they
They
do have
needed
the floodlights too,
the
that they
floodlights,
put up,
that's right.
that they have to
Bugs.
rent.
And the bugs.
Oh, and the bugs come, that's insane. But,
Yep, okay.
alright. It is fun though.
Aye.
Yeah,
It's-
it's
I love it.
Motion on-
Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Authority.
This is just an assessment, right? It's not negotiable, I assume?
Sure it is.
No, it is.
Oh, it is?
Oh,
I thought it was based on,
But to their credit, their budget is down. It's not a whole lot, but it's basically flat. Their income is down a little bit, which is why we get an increase, but
4%.
looking at their backup, their total budget is down 0.3%.
Because I think in past year, Illinois always,
less.
they always do less than what they say.
Why are their insurance costs
No, They've
down
done less to
when ours and regional 17s are up?
use services.
Oh, is that what it was?
if they're making their people
Not
pay.
professional services, you're right, sorry, yeah.
That's their savings, is in their benefits line, their insurances are down.
And they're still funded.
Maybe.
Aren't they also hooked to District
Somebody-
17s?
Yep, maybe somebody left and
Oh, didn't they have a new director?
somebody
They have a new
retires and
director.
somebody new is a little less expensive or
My family.
That's right.
more
Yep.
family,
Yep.
family, kids.
Frank?
The reason I asked is because they call it an assessment to the town, so I thought it was fixed in statute somewhere, or,
No. No.
No revision.
okay.
Same as Chatham, it's an assessment, or the other
Right.
health district, so.
But can we negotiate what we want to give them?
We have in past years.
We could say we don't wanna do it 100,000.
You could have approved something
On a Saturday.
I'm going Easter Sunday, bring the money, chocolate bunnies.
The thing is though, if the town assessments went down, it appears that they have other revenue sources, I'm just not
Well, I mean,
seeing it.
student population is
Oh, no, well, they
going
have-
down too.
they have
So
program
their number of
input.
participants. or
And they charge for all their,
goes up.
Right, but I mean, for a $742,000 budget, I guess I'm not seeing where their money comes from besides the two towns.
Well, they charge for
Program.
programs.
So those are just
And-
fees taken in, fees go out.
Yes.
And grants, they get
Oh, they
grant
do?
money too.
Oh,
Yeah, they get grants, they don't get, I mean, I'm sure their grants have
Yeah,
been.
we usually do get their income, and it's,
Yeah, I don't.
It's not here this year.
See.
website either. Yeah.
No, funding sources.
Where's that?
where's that?
Oh, it's in the pie chart, yeah, but it doesn't.
But it doesn't break it out.
Right.
Yeah.
It just says Haddam Killingworth. And then HK rec income. So it does, so it says,
Oh, yeah, so that's what they charge people, is
Yeah, so-
75%.
Haddam's paying, you know,
Plus the grants.
15%, and Killingworth
As I recall, they had a couple $100,000 in grants.
11.
They had big grants, yeah.
And then other income is almost 71.
I'll make a motion to okay the 109,886.
Well, I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? $515.
It's not all that exciting.
Raiders Memorial.
Do we want to ask the librarian? or- You know, like the ambulance, that's another one, another conversation probably, to see what's possible there.
Well, I have on the note.
I know they have a new director.
Yes.
And their budget is down, would that account for the decrease?
Yeah.
But again, like a lot of these agencies, they also have a little nest egg,
Mhm.
which I know is untouchable, but. But I think they're gonna buy an ambulance this year.
This the year they're going
The
for?
library
The
ambulance, yeah.
The bookmobile.
Right.
The bookmobile?
Actually, the ambulance is the Easter bunny transport.
Nice.
You go to the Killingworth egg hunt, the Easter bunny arrives.
By an ambulance?
So now my granddaughter, whenever she sees an ambulance, she says, it's the Easter bunny.
That's worth it, right?
It is, that's a
They
much
can do
better
that in
image.
Killingworth
than that.
because we're covering the visual aid.
Well, we're getting revenue from that call.
Yeah.
Sean Johnson said in the ambulance went by the other night, and all you could think of was $1,000 was driving by. So there's been discussion, just so you know, so, with the library, how they took money out of their endowment fund and then they purchased the house and the expansion and thing that they wanted to do. And there's differential as to who owns what, and a lot of questions. So, Board of Selectmen meeting, we had decided to approve the operating budget because we wanted to get that done, but we are going to be calling a meeting with the Board of Selectmen and the board for the library to get together to discuss things. And we took things out of their capital budget, which will come up at capital time, because we want that conversation to take place before we give them any additional funds to do anything else. And a lot of people don't realize how much of the library we actually fund. So there's concerns there with other members of the board. So I just want you to be aware of that, just for full disclosure.
It really is like the ambulance service.
It is,
really,
yeah.
in a lot of ways. And if you look at their total income from other sources, it's just not much. There's just not a lot coming in there. And so there's only one place left to go, and that's the town, obviously.
And the income from other sources went down this year.
Yeah.
Crayons.
I don't know, that,
Or do both.
I don't know what other libraries do, but my perception has always been that libraries are a government thing. So I don't
They may
find
be,
this-
but they're also
I don't find this-
nonprofits too, that, you know, live in these two worlds, I think, where they.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like most towns have their private pay admission to come in library or something. I mean, libraries are government funded agencies, and that is sort of the norm. So I don't find that out of character.
No, I think what's always hung us up is the endowment, or, you know, the, whatever you want to call it. You know, there's a
Their
fund
funds, their
there.
money,
And
and
of course, that's for the future. But boy, fundraising is really, that's not good. You know, that's not much money to bring in.
No, no.
I think though with the new director, that might help a little bit. And the other
With
directors
fundraising?
traveling, yeah, no,
I don't think.
I don't know.
Their salaries went down and unemployment insurance went up. Why?
the
They're in the
salary may
first
have just
page,
gone down because of the new director was less.
but the unemployment went up a lot,
But
almost
unemployment
double.
is based on a number.
And it goes
Yeah.
back,
And
it
it
looks
goes by
like
your
it
Goes
back.
by your
Doesn't
experience,
change.
yeah.
And your fund and what the
And it
state,
doesn't change fast, it changes
Yeah.
a lot slower.
yeah, they audit you every year.
Oh, and look at the actual. They screwed up the budget. I think that's the issue.
Hmm, okay.
What are you looking at?
Their actual
I was looking at the budget amount.
unemployment is even higher than this budget, so I think they just screwed up their budget.
Budget previous year?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'll make a motion to approve the library, or the whole cultural works, putting this all together now.
I'll second that, recognizing that it's decreased. Nice.
And this is for the whole culture and
The whole,
recreation,
yes,
550.
353, 656.
He's really good.
Decrease in itself is not.
At least he lives in the state of Connecticut.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? One more? 20?
selectmen chose certain funding over others to fund?
Some didn't ask,
Okay.
they've been in there previously, and we just felt that we just could. And those associations that had helped previously, we did. There was some discussion about the historical society, I'd say that was.
And did the cemeteries get the grant?
Yeah, there's a lot of paperwork to go with it, but
For their $1,000?
probably for about
For their-
$2,000
For
worth of
$2,000?
We have to have an independent audit.
It's a single audit.
I know it is.
They can't require separate.
I know.
And Liz, the Historical Society, I think, came about because when I was on the board,
They did, they mentioned you.
well, no, only that.
Joanne said we should have
No. I think what I noticed primarily was that Village Parks got $3,000 every year, just automatically. And, you know, this board always said yes, and the Historical Society felt that it served at least as important a function and wanted to get into the trough too, so.
No, we did agree that that is exactly why we funded it, but.
It's $2,500,
Yeah.
but again, $2,500 here and
Yeah.
$3,000
No,
there.
we,
talking
and,
some
you know,
money.
especially, we felt that it was vital. I mean, we thought it was not vital, but an important, function in the town and having the town's history and all of that, so,
Yeah,
I'm just teasing you.
whatever.
So how does the grant relate to this cemetery? Why do we
It's different.
fund it at the same level if we have a grant?
Because from what I called and spoke with Nancy Lepard, I guess there's 3 cemeteries that they can't sell any more plots. The only one that has plots is the Higginham Burr, the forward portion. So therefore, they're trying to maintain these. The $3,000, she said, is not adequate to maintain these, and that's not the only, I mean, I just spoke with her. The other ones are probably in disrepair as well. I don't think the 2,000 is going to go very far to, you know, and I think the 3, I believe they sent a letter stating that their mowing contract is $7,350 for the year, well, the summer, and an additional $1,100 was spent in 2 older sections that are not mowed. So the point being, I guess the $3,000, they still need that adequately, or try and do what they do on a normal basis. The $2,000 is to take care of the ones that they're not mowing now.
And there's fences that are falling and that have fallen for years.
So being 9 o'clock, I'll make a motion that we approve this at $6,000.
I think, by the way, it might be worth revisiting next year, both, you know, historical, Village Park, some of these other. I mean, we always say that.
Well, no, I've always said we don't have a rationale.
No, that's true.
You can do it by lottery system.
We can
Board of
fund one
Finance.
this year.
That doesn't mean what we're doing is wrong.
There's a
but
right of-
No, I know.
They own the driveway.
There's no rhyme or
Street
reason
to where that goes up, so there's a right of way there, and that was why some of the 3,000 on the Village Park has always been maintained.
Right.
Aye.
All,
They already voted.
All right, so no discussion, all in favor,
Aye.
opposed,
Motion to adjourn.
Wow.
Second.
discussion, all in favor?
It's not discussable.
What time Saturday?
Yeah.